Our world, it is changing in extraordinary ways. Digital technologies are rewriting the future. Innovations are changing how we work, how we live, and how we play. Our world is extraordinary, but it's also fragile. We're in the grips of a global pandemic that threatens lives and livelihoods. The world is not on track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. 700 million people live in extreme poverty. Global temperatures are on course to rise 3.5 degrees Celsius this century. And if we continue as we are, it will take 257 years to close the economic gender gap. Companies now face growing pressure to radically rethink their role in society. Investors, consumers, and employees want to see more ambition, more action. To chart this new course, we need a new type of business leader. One who's willing to make the long-term sustainability of our world a top priority. Now is the time to raise your ambition for people, planet, and prosperity. We must leave no one behind. After all, business cannot thrive in a world of inequality and unrest.
So then, welcome to the Grand Challenges session, this year online, broadcast from the little cupboard next to my bedroom. So welcome. I see some great friends who have contributed to these sessions over the years, and I see some new friends who have joined us today. So welcome. I'm in Edinburgh, and I look forward to knowing where you're from and interacting with you a little bit later on. So I'm Miles Weaver, and I am from Edinburgh Napier Business School. I am joined also by Anna Fazenka, also from the university, and John Medhurst, who is our chair from the Making an Impact. And we have some wonderful guest contributors. So great thing about Grand Challenges of the World, we can invite some people from Chile and London and also Canterbury from all around. And I know that Leonardo will be joining us in a moment because he's just waking up, I suppose, but he'll be joining us at the end of the session. So I will move on if I can. So this is what we've been doing over the last few years. We've been asking the question, what grand challenges do we face today and into the future, both globally and locally? And ask the question, where can OR help? What contribution can we make as practitioners and academics in operational research? And we've done this now in Glasgow, in Portsmouth, in Loughborough, in Lancaster, and last year in Canterbury, and this year we are online. And we invite some customers or potential customers of operational research, some clients, and see if there is anything that we can do for them. So what we'd like to achieve by the end of this session is hopefully a project idea that leads to a pro bono project. We should all know that the Operational Research Society has this wonderful pro bono scheme offering free support to charities and third sector organizations and linking up with an operational researcher and helping them with a project. You never know, a great research funding project might come out of this, or some collaboration with industry, or maybe it will be some local student projects here in Edinburgh and Kent or wherever it might be. So hopefully we can leave a legacy from this talk and try and get some progress. I understand from our talks in Kent last year, we was looking at health and was looking at Brexit within the ports. We've helped to facilitate relationships, and some research is now ongoing with those parties around those topics. So, as we know, OR has been founded on grand challenges, and I'd like to think as the super wicked grand challenge is our Sustainable Development Goals. And the question asked by Smith last year, will the SDGs bring a new focus to operational research? And I hope it does, and we're going to learn why hopefully today. So this is our session today. We are going to set out the 3 challenges by Paola, Leonardo, and Jessica, and then we've got a treat for you. This is a very technologically advanced talk, I hope, We are actually challenged by what we're doing today because we're going to go out into breakouts. I don't think I've ever facilitated breakouts before. And also we're going to use Mural, which Jessica from UN Global Compact showed us 6 months ago, to do some rich picture inspired facilitated discussion. Of course, we've got limited time. And then we're going to come together and scope out some project ideas. And the magic number is 135. So at 135, we are going to come back from our breakouts. Tassie from the Operational Research Site is going to drag us back in to the main session automatically. So there's no chatting or no, I have to do all this and try and get people to be quiet. 135, we're going to come back and each of the 3 groups are going to offer their thoughts on the situation and a potential project or 2. And then we're going to invite the 3 speakers to offer their advice and their thoughts on those ideas, and we'll hopefully move to some kind of action. So these are our 3 speakers. We're going to start off with Paola, who is a professor and head of management science at Kent University Business School. She's going to outline the SDGs and what OR has been doing through her research and from the grants that she knows is available. We're going to learn from Leonardo. This is a recorded video we did a few weeks ago from Chile, from Mendoza, where my favorite wine comes from. And he's going to join us later on because, as I said, in Chile, it's about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So he'll be joining us a little bit later on. And we've got Jessica from the United Nations Global Compact, and she's in the middle of the screen at the moment, waving. And she's going to introduce what the great work the United Nations are doing and the opportunities there are maybe for OR, if we can realize what they are, and the SDG Action Manager. So when we go into our breakouts, we're going to use Mural. This might be the first time for everybody. It's really easy. And we're going to look at these 3 challenges: building meaningful engagement in cross-sector partnerships for the goals. We're going to look at number 2, how to measure progress towards goals in cities. Ban Ki-moon said, if we're going to reach global sustainability, this will be city by city. And challenge 3, the United Nations always talk about the need for systems thinking to unlock and to accelerate what we do in these SDGs. But what does that mean? So if I can hand over to Paola, who will introduce the SDGs and how OR can help.
So it's a privilege to be here today to introduce the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm sure that most of you in the audience are already familiar with the SDGs, but I will just spend a few words about them. So basically, the SDGs were introduced. If you can go to the next slide, Maya.
Okay.
Were introduced in 2015 after several years of negotiations and are now endorsed by all countries in the world. So there are 17 SDGs which are interconnected and have several targets, but the aim of the SDG is common and is basically to protect our planet and to ensure prosperity and peace. I've been working on the SDGs for about 4 years now, so starting in 2016, so soon after the SDGs were introduced. As I said, they were introduced in 2015, which was really a landmark year for international policy shaping, because it was also the year in which there was the adoption of several major agreements, like the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction and the Paris Agreement. Miles, I think that the slides are not going forward. So, as I mentioned, in 2016, I started working on a project, the OSIRIS project in Southeast Asia, with the aim of optimizing mitigation strategies for floods. And I think I still block on the same slide, Mike. Should I maybe try and share my screen?
Is that the slide you want, Paola?
No, it's still your intro slide.
This one?
I can only see my face.
Okay, so, right. Everybody should know that we spent half an hour testing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
So this project was funded by the Global Challenges Research Fund. Now, if you were yesterday, if you're attending the SDG session, then you're already familiar with these funders. It's a big scheme funded by the UK government 2015 and includes a huge portfolio of calls and projects, which are managed by different providers, including all the research councils like EPSRC, ESRC. And the aim of this scheme is to fund research that addresses the challenges faced by developing countries. Now, my particular project was funded by the British Academy in 2017 to a program which was focused on cities and infrastructure, and therefore the aim contributed at the SDG 9, 11, and 13. Next slide. So I thought I would describe the project just with a simple picture, because sometimes a picture speaks 1,000 words. And as you can infer from this image, the problem in Southeast Asia, in many big cities, is that there are frequent floods that create huge problems in terms of traffic congestion and road damage. Obviously, this has an impact on the mobility of people, on the economy, on their well-being. So what we wanted to do, it was to use OR methodologies, and in particular optimization, to optimize flood mitigation strategies considering future flood scenarios. Next slide. The project includes several different working packages, but I don't want to focus on them today. I just want to focus on two key elements and aspects of the project that I think are relevant to the subsequent discussion today and are relevant for any SDG-related project. And these are, number one, is essential in an SDG project to work in a partnership, on a solid partnership with multiple partners. In my particular project, in fact, we work not just with other academic institutions, both here in the UK and in Vietnam, but we work with governments. So, for example, TBSI, that you see is an institute of the Ministry of Transport. We work also with NGOs, and we work with local communities. For example, the flood impact assessment that we run involved interviews with 500 people from the local communities to understand what was their perception of the impacts of floods. And based on this, we then build our optimization model. The second issue that I want to highlight is the need of working across disciplinary boundaries and working in an interdisciplinary framework. So for this project, for example, we have worked with hydrologists, with meteorologists. We have done waterfall predictions for us and the previous flood maps for the city of Hanoi. And then we use all the data that were provided to us, again, to build our optimization model. We work with economists, transport economists, and the social scientists. So a big team with a variety of expertise. Next slide. So at the end of the project, we started also investigating what are other development challenges in Southeast Asia. So we ran a participatory workshop, but without using very sophisticated methodologies like the ones that we have in stock with OR, like talk-to-R methodology, system thinking. This was much more rudimental, but we ran a workshop to understand what are other challenges in Southeast Asia that can be grouped in challenges related to smart city, to the development of resilient transport infrastructure, agriculture challenges for land use, environmental resiliency. We have heard yesterday 3 very interesting projects which are related to disaster management in Indonesia, funded by PSRC, and then food security is another big issue in Southeast Asia. We are running now another project, in fact, which is again funded by EPSRC in collaboration also with the University of Southampton and Lancaster, which aims at really creating and building operational research capacity in Southeast Asia to address some of the challenges that are highlighted in this slide. So although my work has mainly focused in developing countries, I think that OR has really a lot to offer also to tackle challenges in our local communities and in our cities. Next slide. So I put here just a few ideas that might lead to the, might be investigating more depth in the following discussion, but some of them are derived by information I got from the press. There was yesterday an article on The Guardian saying how COVID-19 and the restrictions and the fear have really led to an increase in mental health issues, depression, anxiety. So this is something that could be investigated and addressed by using OR and systems thinking. Issues related to equality education. We know that with distance learning, homeschooling, it's impossible to ensure the same level of equality, inclusivity, accessibility in our education system. So again, what can our community do to address these challenges? We have heard yesterday, we skipped to one of them, which is the changes in mobility, how to build sustainable cities by taking into account the changes in mobility brought about by COVID-19. And I don't know if you attended yesterday the President Medals. There was a very, very interesting, brilliant talk about from the Ministry of Transport and their analytics team of the investigation and how they've used predictive analytics and data science to inform government decisions, not only in terms of identifying new hotspots for COVID, but also for giving recommendations about cycle paths. So again, lots of ideas there of how OR and systems thinking can be used in practice for addressing local challenges. So back to Miles for the next speakers.
Thank you very much, Paolo. That was great, and great to see you doing some fantastic work there. So we'll move on to our challenges, and Paolo would have mentioned these already. We're going to look at challenge 1, which is around building meaningful engagement and cross-sector partnerships for the goals in what is called extreme collaboration, or Leo calls extreme collaboration. How can operational research help bring about meaningful cross-sector partnerships to co-create collective action plans with concerned citizens and cities towards the goals? I must admit that is actually my research problem that I'm looking at. And challenge 2, how can we measure progress towards the goals in cities? How can OR help to measure this progress city by city? So I'm going to hand over now to the CEO of Gulliver and the founder of the Cities Can Be movement, Leo.
Hi, my name is Leonardo Maldonado. I live in Santiago, Chile, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Cities Can Be, which is an initiative that I lead. Cities Can Be is a joint venture between Sistema B, which is the foundation that promotes the B Corps all over Latin America, and Gulliver, a company that I lead, which is an innovation agency. Cities Can Be, Sistema B has been working since 2012 all over Latin America as a strategic partner of BLab. And Gulliver, since 2007, has been articulating entrepreneurship ecosystems all over Latin America. That meant that when we started, we already had 25 cities where we were working and 15 countries where we were working. That made this idea of crowdsourcing the SDGs through cities possible for us. Now, why are we thinking about cities? Because we're sure that it's where cities where the fight is going to be. I think coronavirus has made that very clear for us. The health issues are city by city. The wealth issues are city by cities. The job issues is city by city. This is where we need to be having the conversation. Right now, we are working in Santiago, Rio, Asunción, Cordoba, and Mendoza in Latin America. We are in Barcelona and opening in Edinburgh. The whole idea is that the SDGs are the grand challenges of humanity, and we actually only have some governments, the UN, and some companies working at it. We need everybody to pitch in, or else we're not going to make it. The idea is by 2030 to reach these goals. And at the speed we're heading right now, we're not going to make it. And so what we have invented in Cities Can Be is a way of doing something we call extreme collaboration, and which is getting everybody to participate and collaborate in accelerating these goals. So let me tell you what we've been doing. the basic idea is that you need, of course, government, private sector, and civic society to participate and to collaborate. So what we did with civic society is, first of all, if we manage to get them to collaborate, then we can get everybody in the city to assume responsibility for our own impact. If we assume that we have a footprint, not only in carbon, but in every dimension of the SDGs, then we can measure that and we can take care of that. And if we assume that gender equality is not a problem for the governments, but it's a problem for everybody, and we all need to take part of that, then we can advance this agenda much easier, much faster. So basically what we're saying is, with civic society, we're developing something we call Be Entrepreneurs, which is a tribe of young people learning to build companies with triple bottom line, B companies, to improve the quality of the world and make business at the same time. This is something that we're not rolling out yet worldwide because it's on a beta, on a pilot process. We've been at it for 3 years. We think that in 1 more year, we should be ready to roll it out worldwide. With the companies, we're working with something called the SDG Action Manager, which is an alliance between B Lab and the UN to Global Compact to build a tool that could measure the impact of each company in all 17 SDGs. What we do is we help companies to use this and to improve what they're doing. Now, the core of what we do is getting government, private sector, and civic society to work together in things that we call massive initiatives of collective impact. What are those? The idea is that if we can find a way to allow thousands or even millions of people to participate, then we really can accelerate this. Things like Fridays for the Future or Me Too have shown that we can get millions of people to actually work for a cause and advance that cause. And that would allow us really to produce a bigger impact. What we're saying is it's not only about measuring what a company does, but it's getting millions of conscious consumers to actually know what impact those companies are producing. If we have conscious consumers, then business as a force for good is not a nice word anymore. It's something we can do. So let me give you an example of how we've been doing this in Santiago, the city I live in. So we have this way of working that we call intertwining stakeholders. And what we do is we get everybody to play on board. And I know you don't know any of these people, but let me try to explain. So you have the people from the government, a Secretary of State, the guy from innovation in the government. We have the people from civic society. We have the people from the private sector, the association of the big companies, the association of the entrepreneurs, and having all of them playing together with as many companies and organizations as we can. Here are some of our partners. There's football teams, there's foundations, there's municipalities, there's TV channels, there's big companies, there's small companies. Getting all those to work together with the same goal actually really accelerates the process of change. And we do this by putting them together around a specific subject or a specific idea. So let me give you an example. One of these massive initiatives of collective impact was this one called Use Your Power. The basic idea was, you're waiting for the government to solve the plastic problem, but you have a power to intervene in that. Just stop buying plastic. we're throwing millions of plastic bottles to the sea, but if you stop buying them, fewer ones are going to get to the sea. What's interesting here, when we launched Use Your Power, is that you have 3 secretaries of state, you have a couple of multimillionaires in dollars, that you have a science winner award in the public, you have artists, you have famous people from TV, you have foundations, we have on this photo people from all walks of life saying we all have the power to change this. And using this idea of crowdsourcing the SDGs, we launched in Rio in 2015. 2017, 2 new cities joined, Mendoza and Santiago, and that's where we said we may have something that we could call a global movement. And so created Cities Can Be, and then came Cordoba, Asunción, and now Edinburgh and Barcelona. In the process, we've been making alliances with a lot of different people, building this movement, and we're trying to spread it worldwide. What are the results of this? Well, that's one of the reasons I want to talk to you guys, because since we're very adaptable to every challenge of every different city, we have very different results in every city. And so when we're asked about what's the real impact, sometimes it's kind of hard to just pin it down to very specific metrics. Nevertheless, here are some of the results. So in terms of, in terms of companies, 750 companies have taken the B Impact Assessment, which was a tool we were using before the SDG Action Manager that was launched at the beginning of this year. And 120 companies have worked for 6 months improving their impact. In civic society, we've had thousands of new SDG and COP activists. What does that mean? That means we've turned normal citizens into activists of really making the cultural change we need in our cities. In terms of academia, in Mendoza, one of the B cities, we managed to get 9 universities to collaborate, changing their curricula to teach the SDGs and triple bottom line business ideas. In government, in Mendoza, we managed to get the government to create a triple impact public procurement law, which means that if you want to sell to the government, you really need to have a triple bottom line. You need to do well, not only by your shareholders, but also you need to do well by the environment and by civic society. We've raised more than $3 million to mobilize the SDGs. That's not money that went into Cities Can Be pocket, but it's actually invested in each city to mobilize the change. And we're trying to systematize everything we've learned in 5 books that we're launching pretty soon. I say pretty soon because I'm not sure we're going to meet the first goal of doing them in September. I'm not sure we're even going to make it in November. I hope that by December, those books will be out and about. They're going to be Creative Commons, so it's going to be available for everybody. Here's a little bit an idea of what these books are about. We're calling it Extreme Collaboration because we want it not only to collaborate with the people you like and the people you know and the people you trust, but with everybody. We need everybody, every hands on board if we really want to make the change we need. So here's a little video that shows a little bit of what we're thinking about.
After this wake-up call, cities all across Europe will need extreme collaboration to achieve our goal of creating vibrant, fair and regenerative communities supported by businesses who are working for the local common benefit.
Cuando termine la cuarentena, aquí en Barcelona, vamos a requerir de colaboración extrema para resolver las desigualdades sociales, sobre todo en el frente del empleo, del desempleo.
Aqui em São Paulo, mais do que nunca, precisaremos da colaboração extrema para a construção de um sistema econômico mais inclusivo, mais equitativo, mais regenerativo e mais consciente para todos.
Quand l'épidémie actuelle sera terminée, à Genève, on aura besoin de collaboration extrême pour améliorer les transports en commun et donc la qualité de l'air.
Dopo l'emergenza coronavirus, a Roma avremo bisogno della massima collaborazione per favorire una ripresa economica sostenibile.
Once this wake-up call is over, here in Edinburgh, UK, we need extreme collaboration to make a city for everybody. Civilizations have been defined in BC and AC, and now we're entering AC 2.0 after Corona, where we can eradicate poverty and bring about environmental sustainability towards our goals locally and also globally.
Ayúdanos a compartir lo que hemos aprendido en ciudades más pequeñas. Help us share what we've learned in cities convenient.
So that's our project. I'm here to ask for help, thinking how we could use technology to really measure the impact we're producing and accelerate the change process. So, Miles, if you have any questions.
That's fantastic. That gave me goosebumps just listening to you, Leonardo, and to think that all that progress that you've made to date, Edinburgh is one of the next wave of the cities to take on this extreme collaboration and this projects and bring people together to accelerate the goals. So it's really, really nice to see what you've done and be part of the next wave. And hopefully our operational research practitioners and academics can help us in this, accelerate this in my city, which is Edinburgh, and across the UK, and help with the movement across Europe and beyond. So you started the conversation off by saying that the SDGs are our grand challenges, and the title of this presentation is about OR and grand challenges. So how important are these sustainable development goals, and how can we win the battle in our cities towards these SDGs? What do we need to do?
Well, about how important they are, I think the main thing you have to understand is that this is something that 190 something countries signed. So this is an agreement of mankind of this is what we really need. And I think we're all witnessing the damages that global warming is doing all over the world. I think one of the things that Corona has shown is that we're really, really bad at collaborating at a world scale. And we're not going to solve this global warming problem country by country. We're not going to solve the contamination of the ocean country by country. It makes no sense. And so I think we either acknowledge that these are humanity's challenges, or we're just going to sink. And what has happened with the virus is that it has shown that we're really crappy at doing this. So what we're trying to do is getting people to collaborate, even if they don't agree, even if they don't like each other. We don't care. We need to do this fast. And we think there's some things that you can solve with laws and practical solutions, but most of it is a cultural change. We need to change the way we live. We need to stop using carbon fuels as the way we use them. We need to stop treating each other the way we treat each other. We need to stop using plastic the way we use plastic. We need to change the way we're living, because the way we're living is killing us. So,
Sure. Great,
the question I have for you is, how can we use technology to accelerate this?
Okay, so technology, that's quite interesting. We will explore that then in our workshop. after this session. There was another point that you made, which I thought was quite striking, and that was getting to work together with the same goal to accelerate that change is very difficult. Getting people on the same page. So we're talking about private, public, and third sectors and universities all coming together towards one goal. How do we do that in order to produce extreme collaboration? It sounds easy, but it's obviously not. And it's part of my research problem that I'm looking at. But how do we do that?
Well, in my experience, I've been working at that question for the last 10 years. And in my experience, if you try to get everybody to agree on action, it's just impossible. Because we have different priorities and we have different agendas. And those are not wrong agendas because we have them. They're just our agendas. So what we do is, instead of trying to agree on what to do, we try to create a common purpose, a common sense of belonging together. So everything that has happened with the Brexit movement, it's all about, are we together or not? It's all about, do we have common goals or not? And it's not something practical. It's something much more in the meanings realm. It's not operational. I think one of the problems is we try to get people to agree on operational things. No. We need to get people to agree on political things. Now, I understand that it's not easy either, but it's easier because it's not concrete. It doesn't mean a specific amount of money for a specific amount of date. It means just to understand that if we don't take care of global warming, we're all going to be going underwater together. You know, people say, what's going to happen with global warming? What's it? No, it's not going to happen. It's already happening. The draws and the rain and the storms are already happening. Global warming, it's already happening, and the mass exodus that is producing, it's already damaging international relationships. We're already in the middle of the crisis. So what we're saying is, if we acknowledge that, we can work together. Now you can say, well, it's hard to, it's not that hard. One little girl that has social difficulties because of her specific way of being wired, managed to move millions of people.
Sure.
So we can do this.
Yeah, okay, so we've talked about the need and the strong need and how the SDGs gives us that pull and understand what that responsibility is, and you're starting to see people take responsibility. And we've talked about bringing about this meaningful engagement in the relationships between all these different sectors, and there's obviously conflict, and we could talk a lot more about that, and understanding who might be marginalized by the work, these mass initiatives and the work that isn't done as well. And this sense of a common purpose, which we've been talking about, a North Star, how do we form a North Star? But one of your major questions was about technology. So could we extend that question about technology and also involve data? What type of data and analytics do we have at our fingertips, or we might be able to have, that we can build some technology or some systems around it in order to measure that impact city by city?
That's a wonderful question, which I don't have the answer. I wish you could help me think about that, because what I do know is that technology can really, really help us accelerate the process. What I don't know is how. So I've had conversations with different approaches to big data and things like that, and they keep telling me that each city has such different data bases that it's hard to find a common thread to which measure all cities at the same time. So I was thinking of maybe we can measure, I don't know, how many plastic bottles does a city consume, and maybe we can measure that in all cities at the same time. but how about gender issues? Or how about, one of the things I like about the SDGs is that it's a very 360 degrees approach. One of the hard things is that it measures too many things. So yeah, I'm pretty much confused about this. And I know that we're making a difference. I just don't know how to measure it. And I wish technology could help me do that. Now, if it doesn't help me measure, it still would be great if it would help me propagate the change faster, which I really have no clue. If I don't know what to measure, I even less know how to. But I do know that at least social media has been a significant tool for Fridays for the Future and all those kind of movements. So I do know we can use it, and we do use it, but as a communication tool. But I think we can do much better than that.
Brilliant.
If you
There's
have
good
come
news.
up with any answers or any good questions, that would be amazing for me.
That's great. So our community, the operational research, the business analytics community, systems thinkers as well, included in that, we have a great role to play in this. But we've got to see that future in terms of where we can help and how we can participate in that. So I think you've outlined some great challenges for a number of workshops over days and days. So we will get back to you in an hour or so's time about where OR and our community can offer some help in that, and hopefully we'll be able to identify some projects that we might be able to take forward, perhaps in Edinburgh or in another city across the UK or wherever it might be. So thank you for outlining the challenge, and we're going to take up your challenge now and work through it, and look forward to seeing you when you come back to discuss what ideas that we have. So Leo, thank you ever so much, and what wonderful work you've done over there in Mendoza. And hopefully the UK will be able to follow suit and be able to be a beacon of success like you've been over the last couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and see you later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. And Leo will be joining us shortly. And I like how he said that the SDGs are our grand challenges. And he has a particular interest in technology and data in how to measure impact in cities to accelerate the change progress. And I'm particularly excited about this diagram here that Edinburgh was selected from 20 other cities to be the next city to learn from the South American movement and bring it here and to deliver these extreme collaborations. So hopefully we'll be able to get some projects off the ground, because this is a live project. So we now move on to Jess and measuring progress towards the goals, and she's looking at how she has a particular ask around how can UN Global Compact understand our stakeholder priorities and put on the right support to help accelerate the adoption of what Leo mentioned, the SDG Action Manager. And how can we as a community support new approaches to build competencies to achieve these goals through systems thinking?
We all live in this world together. The same blood flows in me and any other person.
We're facing the challenges of an ecosystem that is stressed.
Things are not moving as fast as they should. Things are improving, but not as fast as they should.
The challenges that we are facing, they are materializing so fast that it's not only my children or grandchildren which will experience the consequences if we fail.
We have the plan. We have the technology. We have the tools. Let's just do it.
20 years ago, a small group of United Nations and business leaders came up with a visionary proposal.
I propose that you, the business leaders here gathered in Davos, and we, the United Nations, initiate a global compact of shared values and principles which will give a human face to the global market.
I always say part of Kofi Annan's genius was he invited business, but he also addressed civil society and labor organizations.
The mission of the United Nations Global Compact is to mobilize companies around the world to align their operations and strategies with 10 universal principles in the areas of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption.
For me, the UN is the beacon of principles, values, and humanism in the world. And at the UN Global Compact, we are trying to embody the values and the thinking of the UN.
Our objectives cannot be met if the private sector doesn't play a fundamental role. And so the Global Compact is a platform in which all those businesses that abide by the principles of, and values of the United Nations and of the Charter to work together, representing the best of humankind.
For the last 2 decades, the initiative has grown to encompass local networks in more than 60 countries, engaging directly with over 10,000 companies.
Local networks are the main assets of the Global Compact because we are on the ground.
And their mission is to translate the 10 principles and the global goals into the national business community.
At Rio+20, the United Nations Global Compact mobilized the business community, paving the way for more meaningful private sector engagement in shaping the sustainability agenda.
Any business that continues to operate under its own self-interest will not be around very long. So businesses that have a strong purpose, that understand how they can make society better, will be embraced by society and will be around for a long time.
It is so decided.
Since 2015, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement have provided the most powerful common agenda that the world has ever seen, with an essential role spelled out for business.
L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
If every company could align with any of the goals, we're all going to be in a better place.
I truly believe that companies who do not put sustainability, the SDGs, in their strategies, they're going to disappear.
Consumers themselves are becoming are actually demanding from the businesses. They become more responsible and actually support the SDGs.
The United Nations Global Compact is leading the transformation ahead, challenging companies to take more ambitious action on the Sustainable Development Goals.
I think it's absolutely impossible to face the challenges of today, the very quick change that is happening, without having the youth leading the way and helping us define the right strategies, the right policies, the right approaches to address the global problems.
The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not.
Climate justice!
We only have 10 years to go to reach the SDGs, and we need everyone.
You find people in the most desperate of situations, determined to fight for a better future. That's the kind of world I want.
What has changed in a very short period of time is that the narrative is different, and that is fantastic.
If you want to have a good business, you have to mobilize people. A business is a sum of people working to something.
More and more people realize that sustainability is really about making the pie bigger, better, and more inclusive.
I hope in the future all businesses in the world will think about their own purpose. Business can only exist when they have a purpose.
You have to be part of a sustainable society. You have to be on the right side of history.
I really like to think about us as one big family, as one global compact that are working together with one vision, with one strategy to unite business for a better world.
We are united across the globe, for the globe. We're united despite our challenges, no matter how daunting the task may seem. We are united by possibilities because this is bigger than one business. because we are better together. We all have the same job. We are united in the business of a better world.
Okay, so that excites me about being an academic and being an operational researcher, because we've got such a massive role to play. And I'm going to introduce Jess now, who I'm very jealous of because I actually want her job. But I'm quite happy with mine if I get my operational toolbox out and help to address these challenges. So if I can invite Jessica to unmute her mic and to add to that video and talk about the SDG Action Manager that has just been launched.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Thank you for inviting me today. So I work in the UN Global Compact Network UK, so one of those local networks, and our role is to support all of the members in the UK to really accelerate their progress towards the SDGs and embed them into their businesses. So the SDG Action Manager, which Leo explained earlier, is a web-based self-assessment tool where companies can go online and answer a set of questions to do with all of the different SDGs to identify their strengths and their weaknesses and start to set targets and track those over the time. So in my role, I lead our Global Goals program, and I'm really looking at how we can create events and initiatives and all types of different support to help our businesses. And I think one of the key questions that we're coming across is how to use partly some of that data that's coming out of the SDG Action Manager to understand where our stakeholders' priorities are, where their weaknesses are, so that we can develop the right support to help them. Partly also to develop the right support so that we can help them use the SDG Action Manager. And we've also been undertaking our own research into what our members' priorities are. So we've got some of that data, and we're just, yeah, I guess that's one of our challenges, understanding how to use it. So that's a very whistle-stop tour. I know we're itching to get onto the conversation, so I can stick around and answer any questions then, if that makes more sense.
Thanks, Jess. That's wonderful. And we're now going to move into the breakout groups and use this software called Mural, which I first got exposed to from a United Nations Global Compact seminar. And I said, oh, this has some operational research in here. So we're going to do that now. We're going to go into breakouts. And the key number, I think we've lost a little bit of time because of the issues. At 1:35, you will be assigned now to one of 3 groups. Tati has made you all a co-host to allow this to happen, because this is how it's going to happen. We're now going to break into one of those 3 groups, and Tati will be posting into the general chat the links to Mural. And then you click on that link and that will open up your Mural, give you 20 seconds to do that, or you can go in anonymously, or you can add your name. And the facilitators will be myself for challenge 1 around building a meaningful engagement. Anna will be facilitating the group on progress in the SDGs within cities. And John will be looking at the challenge about systems thinking and the sustainable development goals. So this is the most technically advanced part of the session, I hope. Well, I hope it goes well. You're now going to go into a different breakout group, and you'll be given a link to the Mural, and we're going to have an activity doing that. So let the magic happen.
If anyone doesn't go into a room automatically, I'll move you for the latecomers, so I'll move you randomly, okay?
And I think I said, so you just need to click on the breakout room at the bottom of your Zoom, and you can change your room. So if you can do that within the first minute, if you want to be in one of those challenges, but hopefully you'll be in the room that you want. Off we go then, Tati. So thanks, guys, for coming back. I know that was short that we wanted to. We wanted to experience this mural. We weren't trying to do operational rich pictures or operational rich pictures. We're just trying to use this for collaboration. And I knew we were stretching ourselves a little bit, but we had, in my group at least, we had a very good conversation. And I found out that we've got High Wycombe and Lancaster and Edinburgh, and we had some people from overseas too in our call. So when we look at challenges, can I invite Bob to talk a little bit about his daughter and her influence on him?
Yeah, well, it became clear to me as I was listening to the videos earlier in the session that some of the things that my daughter has been engaging with, she's an architect. She'll be qualifying as a fully fledged architect hopefully sometime in the next year, and she's involved in a number of initiatives, one of which is called Architects Declare, which is part of a larger organization or movement called Construction Declares, which is all about architects, constructors, engineers building and renovating properties and environments in a sustainably developed way. This then links to, as I learned yesterday, because she messaged me about it, DEFRA's tree strategy, which is all part of their environmental initiatives to ensure the planting of sustainable trees within the environment and within the built environment as much as within urban and countryside. And this then linked to my previous career within Capgemini, where I worked with organizations like IBM and Microsoft, who were very heavily involved in smart cities initiatives. So my train of thought and consciousness was there's lots of initiatives that are already happening. Does anybody have a fully fledged menu or database of all of these myriad of initiatives that are happening around the world that are actually linked or aligned to the SDGs, whether by strategy, design, or by accident? So I think one of the areas where OR could help is in actually scanning and deriving and driving this list of initiatives aligned to the 17 SDG challenges. You could then look through one of the different prisms of those 17 SDG challenges and actually see the different initiatives that are happening, whether it's in your immediate vicinity or within your country or within your continent. And that could actually then drive more people to actually engage with them. That was my stream of consciousness, and we had a little bit of a conversation about that.
Okay, great. So there was 2 project ideas. That was the first around building this map of interconnected projects and ideas and seeing how that goes. And another one was around taking this to the societies as well.
Yeah, so Anthony came up with an idea which actually reminded Miles and myself of an idea that we discussed after the Lancaster conference and just before the Canterbury conference, which was, why don't we take the SDGs and the Grand Challenges concept on the road? So Miles would have to have one of those T-shirts like Led Zeppelin had in the past, with all the dates and the cities on his back.
Yeah.
Why don't we take it around the OR Society regions? And in the same way as we did recently for Lancaster and we did in Kent, pick initiatives which are relevant to that area, that region, in the case of the OR Society's regions, linked to one or more of the SDG goals, and actually get real life engagement with that locality, with the experts in that locality on that subject matter, and use that to drive whether it's real projects or pro bono initial initiatives, engage with charities and local governments to actually start making a material difference, and actually demonstrating then to government and the wider society that OR can make a difference in this rich, complex problem.
Brilliant. So we had 2 projects actually, so that wasn't bad. So that would be John, Anna, and Paolo and I going on tour, taking the president to all the different cities. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm now going to move to group 2, and this is their, or they might want to share, move on to Anna.
Yeah.
Do you want to share your screen, or can you see my own?
No, we can't see. So we discussed lots about the measuring process, and then I think some ideas came up with new icons here. As you can see, we have the recycle process that it's really important, especially for UK. So we didn't go to the next stage because I think here come up lots of good discussion how we can connect these elements to measure. Okay, so we received lots of comments about from Tracy, Paola, and Chris. So one of you guys, do you want to summarize the things that we have provided here as a project?
Is the floor's open?
I don't know.
Would anyone like to speak?
Okay.
About, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Someone say something? No.
Sure. So, yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Please do.
Yes.
I think we started from the realization, obviously, that every city is different. So every city might have focus on different goals that are important for the local communities. That to measure the progress towards the achievement of the goals is essential to have data. So we need to have data on what is the current situation and how it's improving. And the availability of data is obviously linked to the technology, and the technology might be made available by different businesses. So it's essential to have a business engagement. We talk about the importance also of having strong partnership collaborations. The partnership collaborations are also linked to the goals, because depending on the goals or specific targets for one goal, different partners might need to be involved at both government level or NGOs. And then we address a controversial issues, which was about how to connect the policies, as in a sense, the goals should inform policies and not the other way around, where we use the policies to kind of achieve the goals. So I think that error should go in both senses. Yeah, I think that summarizes pretty much what we have discussed, but if I've missed something, the other attendees connect what I said.
Thank you, Paola.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We nearly got to a project, but at least you had connections. We never had connections.
I think everyone couldn't unmute before, but you can now.
Okay, then. So we'll move to John. Over to you, John. This is better than Eurovision, isn't it? Over to John. Oh, you did the map, John.
We did the map. Yeah, we did, just to try and get people.
Look at that, from all around the world. Well done. Okay.
Okay, do you want to move across, Miles?
Oh, you did a lot.
Well, yes. So what we did, we got some people coming up with some icons. Can you just zoom out a little bit? So we got some icons coming out. We got some ideas that the banks might be important. We got some ideas that conversations might be important. We also got the idea that there's some kind of trinity of economy, society, environment that's an important part of the link to sustainability. And we also got the idea that maybe, well, although I think that was just an example that I used, that maybe barriers were important. Now, we also did manage to move on to some project ideas, although they were very vague project ideas. If you could just move down a little, Miles, so we can see them. Yeah. Okay, so Jeff, do you want to talk about some of these? I think quite a lot of these were yours.
Jeff? Well, really, it was just a sort of follow-up from thinking about this, some thinking that started off, I think, a couple of years ago when we started thinking a bit about the SDGs. Partly seems strange to start off with, but there's not much attention given actually to the sustainability of the SDGs, which seems an important starting point. That seems to sometimes be forgotten. The link between the various processes and the outcomes doesn't seem fully explored, and that's certainly a system problem. The wickedness aspect of them, the fact that they are really complex, uncertain, conflicted, have a lot of makings of a wicked problem, and therefore some of the OR techniques that are useful in wicked problem, participative planning, scenario planning, those sorts of things, may be a bit of a role for behavioural OR as well. So it was really those sort of things that came out of trying to get a bit of a leverage on some of this.
Excellent.
And can you remind me what you meant by last not least goal 17th, Jeff?
Yes.
Was that you?
Actually,
I think that was an Aura's, it wasn't mine.
Okay.
It's mine because I'm working on feasibility of transition, sustainable transition in developing countries. And, you know, goal 17 is very important because they need some non-homogenic partnership. There is a need for non-homogenic partnership between developing countries and advanced economies in terms of financial and technical assistance. In different sectors. For example, I work in energy sectors in case of oil-dependent countries, how they can reduce their dependency on oil, especially in case of if we talk from triple bottom line of sustainability, their economics. First, they should stimulate their economy and reduce their dependency on oil. And after that, they can go toward other goals. But right now, it's kind of impossible. So maybe goal 17 can assist this process by assistance from advanced economies to developing countries.
Excellent, and I hope we can talk about that because I'm a goal 17 guy. That's fantastic. So anybody else like to add anything? So thank you, John. John, you win the prize for having the best mural. You certainly did have the best, and you got through everything in the shorter space of time. So what I will do now is I will write up those. We've got those murals. We'll start to write them up, and we'll share those with you and see if we've got a pro bono project, or maybe there's a funding bid there. I can see 2 already, and if I can now invite the speakers to offer any thoughts that they might have on the discussion that we've had and where this might go, where OR can help. So I wonder if Leo is with us now.
I am.
Leo, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. I didn't have a chance to really understand what you were talking about, so I can't make any comments about it. But if you want to have a Q&A, I can do that. But I just joined in, so I'm not really sure about what you were showing.
So we were just in breakouts and we did some diagramming, and we thought about some project ideas. So what I suggest we do, because there's a coffee break for 15 minutes before the next plenary, we'll keep the call open, and we'll have a little bit of Q&A for those that wish to stay behind, an after party. Yeah. So thank you, and if we can have those question answers a bit later then. What about Jess? Is Jessica still on the call?
I am, and unfortunately I can't stay for the coffee break because I'll have to dash off to the next event, which happens in the virtual world now, doesn't it? But no, it was great to sit in on and listen to some of those kind of ideas and linkages that people were starting to come up with. We didn't quite get to defining any projects, I think, in the group, but I would at least be really interested to see where some of these go, and if there's any development of some of these ideas, and definitely some of the things that that Jeff was suggesting there that you can see on the screen. They would be really interesting to take forward. So
brilliant.
A watch this space kind of situation.
Yeah, there was some commonality between Jeff and the first and ours around a systems diagram that had all the issues and challenges and all the projects, and we could see the dynamics of all those, how interrelated. That would be a big piece of work, but that most certainly might be valuable, and we could pursue that. Paula will probably have some thoughts on that. And the other thing that we talked about was SODA as a way of facilitating some of the problem structuring. So I'll write all this down and try and make sense of it and pass this on, and we'll have a further discussion about that, and hopefully encourage other people. Thank you very much, Jessica. And Paula.
Yeah, thanks, Miles, for organizing this very interesting session. I think what emerged is that OR has really a lot to contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. There have been a few projects already funded by different funding agencies, but I think what has been so far probably not used to this extent is probably the use of software methodologies and system thinking especially. So I hope to see more projects coming up using those kind of methods. especially for framing problems and modeling these very complex systems. I've worked, as I mentioned before, on projects, and in retrospect, I wish I had those tools available, especially at the beginning of the projects when the situations were so complex and so wicked that it was a little bit of a struggle to put together all the different partnerships, to resolve conflicts, to negotiate even objectives of the modeling approaches. So, as it was mentioned in one of the talks, we are the clock is ticking. We are 5 years into the Sustainable Goal Agenda already. We have 10 years left, and I think that OR really can contribute to the achievement and to accelerate the process towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So there was a strong focus on partnerships today. So again, Goal 17, very, very important. We had the plenary also yesterday on system thinking and how to engage communities. So that was very informative and that offered really some food for thought that could be really relevant in terms of pushing forward the research agenda of the SDGs. So I really hope that the community will come together and merge systems thinking methodology with the OR hard modeling techniques, as I said, to contribute to the SDGs. So a couple of very nice projects have emerged today. I really like the idea of taking the SDGs on the road. So hopefully that will be implemented. There are here in Kent, we have a very active SDG forum. I just recently discovered actually that I have yearly reports at the right where they document what the initiatives was the SDG achievements. But I think it's a strong point that the SDG achievements should be embedded in all the strategies, even of the private sector companies, not just the government level, that everybody should be included. And that's why our techniques are really, really important to create these solid partnerships which are inclusive, which engage with civil societies, government, and the private sector. So I hope to see new partnerships developing after this. And I hope that we can find the right tools really to engage with all parties which are needed to really make an impact towards the Sustainable Development Goals.
Excellent. Thank you, Paola. So as Leo said in his video, the SDGs are our grand challenges, and they are many, many wicked problems in there. And there is a massive opportunity here for us as operational researchers and systems thinking included in that, of course, to address these challenges and to make a massive contribution. And I think some ideas emerged today, and I will write these up and I'll share that amongst all the participants on this call because we have your email addresses. And maybe one of you would like to support, maybe you might want to support what these projects might be and be part of this ongoing community. So that's our session finished exactly on time, with a few technical hitches that I wasn't expecting, but we had planned many. And I hope you enjoyed using the mural to collaborate and interact. It's a very easy way of doing it. For those educators in the room, you can get a free license to this. So again, thank you to all our speakers and to all the organisers and facilitators for joining us today. Thank you very much to Tati, because this is, as she said, the most advanced session in the conference this week, with breakouts and murals, and she's given us so much time where we practice lots. So thank you very much.